Alright, let's just give it a shot here then. Alright, so if you guys want to follow along, go to this link here. I don't know if I'll quite go at a follow along pace, but I'll try not to go too quickly. So what we're going to be talking about is this guy here. So let me go to... So it is... Share my screen. Yes. Alright, there we go. Can you guys see my screen? Alright, so P5.js, it's a JavaScript library. It's used for making art, simulations, you can make simple video games with it. One really cool thing about it is the entire thing is contained in the website. You don't need to use an IDE for it, you don't need to download anything. You can just go to the website and click editor. You'll have to make an account if you want to save things, but I'm going to be going over the basics of how to use it and some of the stuff you can get done with it. So first I'm just going to show a couple of little things I made with it. So I was taking a physics class and I made a little projectile thing here. So you can mess with the vector, add magnitude, and you can launch stuff. So that was kind of fun. Let's see what else we got here. For my honors project in CS20, the second CS class, I don't remember the number on it. I made this thing that demonstrates recursion, and it actually walks through the code. So that was kind of cool. So yeah, I'm going to go over some of the basics here. So, first thing, let me just open. Alright, so, first, just ignore all of this code that's grayed out. These are all just comments. I don't know how much coding you guys have done, but comments are just not read by the compiler, so they don't really do anything. So up here we have this thing here called setup. This is called at the beginning of the runtime. So whatever you put between these two brackets here is going to happen one time right at the beginning and then never again. So if you got to set up some variables, set up some arrays, stuff like that, you do that. But one of the main things you do is create a canvas. And I'm just going to play this so you can see what the canvas looks like. Right over here is the preview of what we're getting. The big cell here is P5.js makes a web page. It makes all the HTML, all that stuff, so all you have to worry about is the JavaScript to make these little sketches that embed into a web page. So creating a canvas is deciding how big this area is. So I'll go ahead and change this. It's the X value and the Y value. So I'm going to make it a little bit taller, and then you'll see it update. So that's not too bad. Alright, so it does the setup, and then we go on to the draw. The draw happens every frame as fast as a computer can do it. And the only thing I don't have commented out in here right now is background. What this does, it's like the paint bucket in Paint. It just fills the entire screen with the value you pass to it. So that can either be a grayscale value, where it's just one parameter like this. So this is 150 out of 250. If I did 255, that would be completely white. If I did like 20, that would be super dark. But I think 150 looks all... Ooh, not 2000. 150 looks alright. So I'm going to uncomment some stuff here. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is fill. So the way P5 works is there's a drawer. There is one object that's going around drawing things. If you call fill, you're changing the color. So I'm just gonna mess around with something here. I'm not gonna explain all of this. I'll come back. So if I don't call fill and I just draw a shape, it's gonna come out white. Now if I call this fill, it's going to paint that the color I pass into this fill. And that's gonna stay until you change it again. So let me count this back out. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm passing in an RGB value that's red, green, blue. And that's just that nice fuchsia color I put in everything for some reason because I'm weird. Now I'm going to comment this next one out. This is an ellipse. So it draws circles, ovals, egg shapes, whatever you need. This takes 4 arguments. So one thing I should have probably mentioned earlier, can you guys see my cursor, by the way? I'm pointing at a lot of stuff and I don't know if you can actually see that. Anybody? Okay, alright. So this works on a Cartesian plane, but it works a little bit differently than in math. Because in math, x's would go this way and y's would go up. Since like the beginning of screens and displaying things, it has always worked a little differently. X still works left to right, but Y works from the top down. So if I draw a circle at 300, 450, it is going to be 300 pixels this way and 450 pixels down. The next 2 parameters are the width and the height, and that's just in pixels. But you notice something, I have uncommented this ellipse and nothing is being drawn. Does anyone have a guess why that is? The code isn't wrong. Sure wish I had 2 monitors, but... So what's happening here, every line of code is happening in sequence. And this line that fills the entire sketch in is happening after the ellipse. So I've got the exact same line of code right here after it. I'll just uncomment that one, and you'll see what it does here. So now I'm setting the fill color, I'm calling background, which is filling in all this gray, and then I'm drawing an ellipse. So let's do some other shapes. This is like the most basic thing. If any of you guys leave at this point, the one takeaway I want you to have is this is not all you can do with processing. This is like baby steps. So I'm going to change the fill color here to blue. So red 50, green 200, blue 225. And then I'm going to uncomment a rect. Rect is short for rectangle. This one takes 4 parameters. Again, it takes an x and a y, and then it'll take a width and a height. So it's pretty similar to ellipse. And I think you guys pretty much get the idea here. I'm going to uncomment this fill to set the drawer color to yellow. And then I will undo this, or uncomment this triangle. Now triangle, prepare your body. It is 6 parameters. You've got x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3. But yeah, those are pretty much the basic shapes. You can do custom polygons where you can determine as many points as you want. That's pretty much all the basic drawing shapes. So let's move on to something a little cooler. Like, this is fun and all, we can make little houses, little cars. But it's usually a lot better if we do something cooler. Did I? Oh no, I didn't comment it all. Hold on, hold up. Alright, there we go. Alright, so again, ignore all this down here. I'll talk about it later. Just ignore all the gray stuff. We're just talking about the code that's not commented out. So same deal. During the startup, we're creating a canvas. This time it's 800 by 600, just like last time. We're calling background just one time in setup here. Oh, let me actually trying to make a point with that. We're calling background just one time in setup here, instead of calling it every single frame. Now, inside of draw, what I'm going to do is draw an ellipse, but instead of choosing a static point, I'm going to choose something a little more dynamic. So if you see right here, mouse X and mouse Y, these are properties that are set up in P5.js, and they will always pass in the X position and the Y position of the mouse. So if I mouse over this, now I'm drawing a circle wherever my mouse is. And to kind of drive home the idea that this is happening every single frame, there's no background being drawn. So every frame I'm drawing a circle. And you can, go around, make some cool shapes here, get a little abstract with it, good stuff, right? What if I don't want that? I can just draw the background every frame. So now when I come in, I'm drawing the background, then I'm drawing an ellipse. And what's going to happen? I just see the circle now. It's still doing the same thing. It's still drawing a circle every single frame, but it's also painting over what was there previously first. So there's that. Alright, so we talked about mouse X, mouse Y. Do you guys have any questions so far? No? Alright, I'll keep going then. Alright, so these predefined shapes are fun and all, but the next thing you might want to try doing is define your own shapes. So I could go through and I could draw additional circles and whatever inside of draw here, but better thing to do is to make a function. So this setup is a function. This draw is a function. Those are predefined by P5.js. We can write our own functions though. So I wrote this function here, draw Kirby. I'm hoping you guys are aware of who Kirby is. I might just be dating myself a little bit here. But inside of here, there's only things you guys have already seen before. Well, okay, I'll talk about stroke in a second here. But I've got ellipses, they're working off of the X, but I'm just augmenting them a little bit. Like this one is plus 25. Let me show you what this does here. So let me comment out ellipse and uncomment draw Kirby. There he is, cute little guy. Let me hide my cursor here. So no cursor, you can call this during setup, and this will make it so your mouse disappears when it's over the top of the canvas. So, I don't know, he's kind of like Kirby, a little creepy, but you get the idea. So what I'm doing here is when I call draw Kirby, it is going to do everything here. So what stroke does, this is one of the other things you don't know about. Stroke, that's funny, it has little definitions. Stroke determines the line that goes around the outside of a shape. So let me just comment out stroke and you'll see what happens here. All the lines go away. Actually, that kind of looks better. I don't know. Alright, so you can also use no stroke right here, and it has the opposite effect. But again, P5.js has the one drawer. So if you turn off stroke at any point, it'll stay off until you turn it back on again on anything you try and draw. So let's see. And then yeah, if we want, I can shut off this background, and I can make a little army of Kirby's. Pretty good stuff. Alright. Any questions on any of that?
Actually, if you were able to draw Kirby.
It's really not that hard, honestly. I picked him specifically because he is a simple shape. He is a big circle with 2 circles for arms, 2 ovals for legs, 2 ovals for eyes, and then I made that little half-moon mouth by putting a pink circle over a black circle. So, pretty simple little dude. Pac-Man would be even easier.
Yeah, it just basically, well, a circle.
And then you can just use a triangle that's the same color as the background and cut out the mouth. Alright, so that's fun and all. We can move things around based on where our mouse is. Still pretty simple, so let's get on to something a little more advanced here. Okay, yeah, save my changes. Alright, let's see, did I get this to a good state? Alright, here we go. So, a random walker. So what this is I have this little guy in the corner here. Let me restart, see if I can get him towards the center. There we go, that's better. So this is just an X and Y position that draws a circle, then it chooses a random direction, moves 1 step in that direction, and draws a new circle. And I don't have my background updating, so it leaves a trail of everywhere it's been. Now, doing all of that stuff would be very easy to do in Draw. It would be absolutely no problem. But that's usually not the best way to work. You want to think of code like Legos. You want to make a Lego, and then you can just stack them together and make a bunch of them, so that, let's say you wanted a bunch of walkers. You don't need hundreds of lines of code cluttering up all of this to have the same thing happening hundreds of times. So the way you do this in P5.js is probably going to be the most complicated thing I cover today. So here's how it works. Up on the top here you have this little arrow. And this shows the actual files that constitute your sketch. Now, if you start with something very simple, I'll go back to one of the simple ones here. Go ahead and save those. Alright, so this is our most simple one. Inside of here, you will always have sketch, let me try this out. That didn't help. Sketch.js, index.html, and style.css. Index, this is just HTML code. Don't worry, I've done a lot in P5.js, and I don't know HTML, and you don't need to know it either. It generates all this code for you. The only thing you have to edit in here usually is you have to add more scripts. So I'll talk about that. And then this is the CSS. Again, you don't need to know how to use this. I don't know how to use CSS, and I've made dozens of things with this. So that's pretty much what's in there. Now let me go back to that other one here.
It's similar to Python in some ways.
Yeah. Alright, so let's see. Random walker. Alright, now in this one we have an extra thing here. We have randomwalker.js. Now, I'm going to pack kind of a lot of information. If you're going to MCC for computer science, you've either heard about a lot of this or this will be your first introduction to it. I'm not going to explain all of this. We're going to be making a class. This is a blueprint to make an object. If we look at my little thing running, our little random walker here, that's our object. Alright? So, oops, did someone try and enter? Hold on. Here we go. Alright, there we go. Alright, so we're making a little random walker here. So, we got another one. Hi guys, we're about halfway through here and then we're going to start messing around with P5.js. Since a couple of you just joined, let me up these into the chat here. So if you want to open up P5 editor, this little link here, it runs all in the browser. You don't have to download anything. And we can mess around with stuff. I'm about halfway through though. I'm going to finish what I'm doing here though. Alright, sorry. So we're making a class. We're calling it Random Walker. And then we're going to make a constructor. Think of this exactly the same way as the setup inside of our sketch. This is just something that's going to happen one time, but instead of being done at the beginning of runtime, it's going to be done when this random walker gets made. And then you define what arguments you want to come in here. So when I made this, I just thought about all the things a random walker needs. So he needs a position on the screen that he's going to store, because I'm going to change that every frame, and he needs a color. So to do that, I gave him an X and a Y variable, and then an RG and a B variable for red, green, and blue. For the position, I just made a vector. This is just a way of representing two numbers together, and later on you can call them with position.x, position.y. It's just a convenient way of working with that. Position.createVector xy, and then I just said this.r equals r, this.g equals g. This is just saying that I am making a variable inside of my guy, and I am going to set it equal to what I passed in. Now, a convention I tend to use in P5.js, I don't know if anyone else does this, you don't have to do this. I make one function called run, one function called update, and one called show. And inside of my run, I put update and show. So when I create an object, all I have to do is call run every frame, and it does everything. So let me go back to my sketch here. So I'm making a walker. I'm just making a variable, naming it walker, using the new keyword, and then I am calling that constructor I built here. We haven't talked about random yet. It works probably how you would imagine it does. It gives you a random number with the range you pass. And here's another keyword in P5, width. This refers to the X size of the sketch here. And this is the height. So this is how many pixels tall this sucker over here is. And then I've got my RGB. Again, I chose that weird fuchsia color I use all the time. So 250, 255. So that's having one walker. For making a bunch of walkers, I just made an array of walkers. And then inside of a loop, I make 200 of them. Oops, I'm not going to comment that more. I need to uncomment it. And then inside the draw function, I'm just calling that run I wrote. So let me go back. So run here, it does the update, which changes the position. And then the draw, it just sets up the how I want it to draw, and then draws a circle. So let me go back here. Uncomment this. And boom, there's hundreds of them.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna try recreating it.
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely. So that about covers what I wanted to show. So I figured we just use the rest of the time to mess around with P5. I can answer any of you guys' questions. And yeah, just build some stuff. So first of all, did anyone have any questions? I know a couple of you guys got here pretty late. I can go over some of the basic stuff again.
I literally thought that it's next Thursday.
That's alright.
So I just saw your message email, so I was like, oh my god, it's today. I don't know, how did I miss it? Well, but
that's alright.
I like it, yeah.
So does anyone have any ideas for stuff they want to make? I can maybe get you on the right path here.
You already know what I'm trying to do. I could try recreating that walker program that you made.
Yeah, try making it with just one walker, and I would say just leave the classes out of it. Just for your first thing, try and make just the walker inside of the update, or the setup and draw functions. You can do the whole thing in there, and you don't have to worry about any of the extra stuff.
Okay. P5.
Would you like, I can actually, one of the really cool things about this, let me send you my code. If you've ever tried to get your code to run on someone else's machine, you will immediately see the value of P5, because I can just send you this edit link.
Can you post that in the chat box?
Yep, that's what I'm doing here. And then you guys can go in and look at it. I'll put all of them up there. I would say start with the, if you just want to try and follow along and see what it's doing, start with the shapes one. Let's see here. Open. Demo's got shapes. And let me know if those links aren't working. And then I got one more here. Mouse drawing. Here we go. Let's share. There we go. Alright, there we go. And then, like in the shapes one, just uncomment a bunch of those double backslashes, or forward slashes rather, and then you'll actually see what it does. Let's see, what do I want to try and make here? But yeah, just, it seems a little trivial, but it's a really good way to practice creating behaviors. Something simple like the way a leaf falls is very complicated to program. And you can get very good by trying to envision a behavior and then make it. Let's see. What do I want to do? I think I had something started. Let's see, what other stuff could I talk about? Is anyone trying it?
Oh. I can't let the show. Can we constructing see how this works? I honestly can, but it does. I honestly can't wait for it.
Oh, I have another thing I can show you guys here. So, if you're ever trying to figure something out, there is amazing documentation for this entire thing. So, if you are inside of the editor, if you click on Help up here, and you go to Reference, in this search bar, what's something I don't know about? Frame rates. I know you can change them, but I don't know how. Okay, frame rate looks good. So you'll have, inside of this documentation here, you'll have not only an example of the code running, you'll have the entire code here, and then like a wonderful detailed description of how it works. And you can get so much done by just going through this documentation. And unlike a lot of documentations that are very dry, there's actually things moving around. I don't know what Oh, you can even edit the code here if you want. That's fun. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Oh, and then open processing. Let me share this. So there is a very large group of people who make incredible art using processing. One word of warning, some of these are very processing intensive to the point where they can crash your computer. It's not very common, but it has happened to me before, but there's just some really cool stuff people have done in here. And yeah, just people are so creative, it's crazy.